Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining from. Thank you for being here. Welcome to everybody. I am still in the middle of unpacking, so there's still a giant stack of boxes that I'm conveniently hiding behind me. But welcome to another week of this show, of talking about ATEMs and YoloBoxes and live streaming and all sorts of fun trouble we can get up to. So what's been new? As I mentioned a second ago, things are kind of a disaster in the studio still, so I have not been able to, like, I don't know, film anything in here because I have no clean camera angles. But I have been going through and trying to straighten up, organize things. It turns out a lot of my drawers had like either too many different types of things in a drawer or multiple drawers with similar things. So I've been trying to go through and like consolidate, get all like my microphones in one place, all the little like webcams and little bits and pieces, HDMI converters and things like that. So making progress. I have a little label maker, so I'm making little labels for them. It's great. Eventually things will be clean again in here, and I can actually like use the table, which is currently full of all sorts of interesting collections of things. So yeah. IT Never Gets Old said, is one of your lights off today? Seems darker on the wall side. No, not exactly. What's going on is that there is something on top of that light, so a lot of it's getting blocked, so it's not shining green up here as much. Yes. It's kind of a mess. It'll get better. You may notice one new thing in this shot. We'll wait to see if anybody notices. WebRC Live says, we really want to know how you do that map that shows your viewer's location. Okay, so that I've been using that for years. It is completely custom code that I wrote that uses the YouTube API. It's not something I can easily like share, but the H2R graphics, let me find that, has a very similar feature, and you can use this to get a very similar effect. Does he have a picture of the map on the homepage? I'm not sure. I know it's in the docs somewhere. It doesn't work exactly the same way as mine, but it's very close, and it is a really good option. So yeah, here we go. Here's the map. So you do, this is the hard part, is you do have to go through like the Google account creation process to get the API keys to plug in. But that's because Google's just really picky about who can do what with the API. So that's what I would recommend, though, if you want to get the map. The Eric says it's a backlight. Oh, you know what? That probably is way brighter than normal because everything's been changing in here. Let's tweak that a bit. It's probably set to like 100%. There we go. That should be. I cranked up to 100 because it's like one of the only actual functional lights in here. So if I need to see what's going on, that's the light. That's a little better. It's a little bit less. The green one down here is still, obviously, there's like literally a box sitting on top of it. People have found the TV. Yes, giant TV behind me. Funny story, I got that a while ago and been meaning to put it somewhere in here, and I hadn't quite figured out where. And one of my thoughts was to put it here, like coming out to about here or so, down to maybe there, but in portrait mode. And then I could like use it like a window. Like it would look like a window. I could put videos I've shot of like out of a hotel window or something on there. I'm glad I didn't mount it before testing it, because it turns out the this is why I don't like smart TVs. It's a Samsung, the frame TV, so it's like super slim, which is why I got it. You can put it flush against the wall, and it's only is like 3/4 inch thick. However, so it does have a orientation sensor in it, and it'll be like, oh, you've turned the TV into portrait mode, and then the whole interface of the TV changes to portrait mode. But it's a smart TV, which means it is it's essentially like a phone. There's like an app launcher on the home screen. That's like the home screen is like this app launcher. You can launch the Apple TV app. You can launch YouTube, Netflix. They're all apps that you can launch. And weirdly, in order to show the HDMI input, you have to launch the HDMI app effectively. It looks like an app icon that you scroll to. So weird. And then if you launch the HDMI app, but your TV is in portrait mode, it very helpfully rotates your video so that it shows up in the middle chunk of the screen. So you end up with a picture that you can actually see in the right orientation with a black chunk on top and black chunk on the bottom, which is obviously not what I want for this use case of piping in a video feed that I shot vertically, and I want to actually have it show the full screen. So I'm glad I tried it, because apparently there's like no way to disable that feature. There is it just has that sensor in it. People have taken apart the TV and removed the sensor in order to be able to rotate their TVs vertically and use them that way. It's ridiculous. So do not recommend buying that TV for vertical signage. You'd think they would have thought about that and just given you like a rotate button in the menu, but apparently it's not there. Is it difficult to buy a non-smart TV these days? Yes, it is incredibly difficult. So I have one of the last ones that you can get, which was the TV I was just using at home. 42-inch TV. It's a good size. I think this is actually 42 also. And the 42-inch 42-inch TV, the way that I got it to be not smart is by buying what is called a commercial display. So if you search for commercial display, this is what you would use on like digital signage at airports or hotels or restaurants and bars and things like that. And they have a couple of different features than like consumer TVs have. Oftentimes they will have like protocols that you can control them remotely. So this one that I got had a serial port on it, and you could send it serial commands to change channels or turn off and on. And I guess the idea there is you can have like your controller box that controls your whole wall full of TVs for the restaurant and change them all in sync. That's one of the features. And then they don't have like the things they don't have are like app stores or things like that. However, I did a little bit of looking around because I'm going to buy a couple more TVs for the new house back there, because we have like a roof I want to put a TV on. And I found that all the new commercial displays now have smarts in them. So they will like have Wi-Fi, or they'll be like cloud connected to the TV company's like fleet management thing. So you can remotely control your TVs. So there's still like 4 commercial installations, but kind of unfortunate that like you can't just get a monitor anymore. So basically the only way to get a not smart TV now is to buy a large monitor. And there are some monitors you can find that are like 42 inches, but not a lot bigger than that. Kind of annoying. But yeah. A TV on the roof, a rooftop patio. Yes. Yeah, a non-smart TV is just a monitor, exactly. And but yeah, you're not going to find like a 60-inch monitor, but you can probably find a 40-inch monitor. Dylan says, I have a smart TV and never use the smart feature. How do you never use the smart feature? Because the only way I've been able to not use the smart feature in that is to launch the HDMI app and then like tell it to not there was a couple other settings I was able to turn off, but it's still like, yeah. Grant says, I wonder how much someone can make if they started a company that just did non-smart TVs. There has to be someone that does this, because like when you're doing like video walls that are not from the little panels, not the little square grids, but video walls out of TVs, like someone has to be making TVs that are for that. Okay, now as I'm saying this, I'm looking at Samsung business displays, and they do explicitly have like video wall displays. So maybe the answer is, yeah, this is the kind of stuff that like for that you do not want a smart TV. Like that the whole point is that it's digital signage and it is not a TV. Like large conference room installations, things like that. So how do I get this? And how much does it cost? That was the nice thing about the commercial display that I got. It was a ViewSonic. It was like not that expensive. It was not really any more expensive than any consumer TV. Are these really expensive, or are these? Yes, they're in fact very expensive. See, I don't want to spend $5,000 on a 55-inch TV, because you can get a 55-inch TV for like $200 when it's a consumer display. That's the problem. There's a great solution for vertical mode. You can get a full screen without having a black area. Tell me how, because I Googled and I could not find it. As it is a smart TV, is it able to get some NDI? Oh, that's a good question. I don't think I haven't looked at the App Store yet. It shipped with a bunch of apps in it, but I haven't looked at like what else I can install. Yeah, I think Sven's onto something. As a sale of user data is used to subsidize the price of TVs, a non-smart TV would be a lot more expensive, as demonstrated by the $5,000 Samsung 55-inch, which if I just look at like even Samsung's the frame, which is like their high-end consumer TV, even a 55-inch version of this is $1,700 instead of $5,000. And then if you don't want like the fancy TV, then 55-inch TVs are so cheap. So yeah. Oh, here we can get a $200,000 TV, 146-inch 4K TV for $200,000, and I can get it here in 11 days. I think my credit card might not like me for that. Although technically I don't have a limit on the Amex card. Yeah. Yes, $200 TV means you are the product, not the TV. That is true. What are you doing? Says watching on a 43-inch Samsung M7 connected to a PC that has smart features, but they only get in the way once in a while. Well, that's good. That's good. You can make many of them default to an HDMI input and suppress the menu, but the smart crap is still in the way. Yeah, also like this remote that I got is like really finicky, and I had to, when I was setting it up, it's supposed to be like a fancy remote, and it's got like a solar charger thing on the back to just passively charge. But what was happening is like I would press buttons and it would just stop responding, and I would have to plug it in, unplug it, and then it would work for like 10 more seconds, and it would stop again. Great experience, Samsung. Graham says, I'm still using my parents' old TV that they bought 15 years ago, and I don't even use the tuner in it. 15 years ago sounds like a lot, but it's really not. Because that's like 2008, which I think is when I got my TV also. Yeah. That smart TV isn't that smart as you thought, and it's way too bright next to you, even when it's all black. I did actually change the brightness of this, because it was, even back there, it was way too bright. And I had to, how do I, yeah, see the remote's not even working. Yeah. I might have to email them and be like, send me a new remote. This is broken. Jim says, today marks approximately 3 years since I started watching your live streams. Yeah, you've been here a long time. Thank you so much. It is about 3 years since, been about 3 years since I started. $200,000. Looks like the star field from 2001 Space Odyssey. It's full of stars. How much more expensive would it be without the smarts? I imagine there's some people who will be willing to pay a premium to not have smarts in their TV. Yeah, I mean, the one I just found, I think is the answer. There's probably some cheaper one, but the that Samsung business site, Samsung video walls. This is exactly like who needs a not smart TV. Digital signage where it just does the one thing, but you go in here and it's like, oh, you want 55 inches? Great, $4,500. I like how it has 1 star. What is the review? Oh, 1 star because there is a gap when you stack panels. Well, that's unfortunate. You need a credit card thick gap between the panels they can't touch. Oops. Darn. Yeah, that's too bad. The whole point of these is to make seamless video walls. Oh well. $5,000. So the show in 2 weeks will be a review of your $200,000 TV. No, the show in a few months will be a review of my far more than $200,000 house. So yeah. We have 3 of the same TVs, and if we try to use the remote, it changes on all the TVs. Oops. Have I tried to update the remote control? That is a sentence that should not exist. I should not have to update a remote control. I hate it. Thanks, I hate it. Why is everything so terrible? Did you put the vertical video also as input or horizontal? What I wanted to do was just like so how do I describe this? Like in the ATEM, everything is 16:9 landscape, right? So the whole pipeline is that aspect ratio, and you can't change that. So if I want to do anything with vertical video in the studio with like recording from my cameras or live streaming or anything, then essentially it's all rotated until the last possible second where I am going to like in a video editor, I'll take the recording, which was sideways but landscape, and then I'll rotate it in the video editor. Or if it's a live stream, I'll tell like the Nginx streaming thing to do a rotation vertical. Or if it's on a monitor in here, I'll physically turn the monitor. So if my thought was like, okay, so I can go take a camera, I can shoot vertical video, I record, and it comes out, in regular horizontal format. It's just sideways, and then I just turn a screen sideways to unrotate. So it's 16:9, and I just want the screen to not rotate the video back to horizontal, but there's no switch for that. Graham says, I have a friend who works in a prison. I'll ask what TVs they use there, as I'm sure they can't be on the internet. I wouldn't actually assume that anymore. Nowadays, you're updating light bulbs with new firmware. It's true. Yeah. I will say the new lights that I'm getting for the house are not smart lights. They're just little LED panels, little discs, and all the smarts are going to be in the switches, which I think is a better way to do it. Grant says, I imagine they'll get the price down if you don't include the stuff for businesses like the remote management. Maybe. I mean, I guess you're basically talking about computer monitors. So the question is like, does anybody sell a gigantic computer monitor? Because I know I found like a 40 something inch. Anyway. Oh, Dylan says my TV is so old that the smart features is separate, so I don't connect it to the internet. That's one way to do it. I don't even think this TV would let me turn it on without connecting it to the internet. Anyway, that's enough about TVs. Yeah, long story short, this had been sitting on the the side of the room, waiting to mount it, and then I was like, I should probably test it first just to make sure this is going to work. And I'm glad I did. And then I was like, well, I don't want to like keep storing it on the floor, so I just put it up there on that little ledge, and that way I don't have to punch any holes in the wall to mount it. It's just sitting on the ledge, and I'll probably just keep it there because it's kind of fun, and eventually it'll probably move up into the house. So. Okay, getting some actual questions in here. Let's bring it back to the main topic of the stream. What are the best HDMI cables for the ATEM Mini and max length? It's a good question. I don't have like a particular recommendation. I guess actually I kind of do. Most of my cables that I've been buying are the same brand. What are they? I believe they're all Cable Matters. Let's see if that shows a bunch of cables in my order history. Oh, it's been a while since I bought HDMI cables. Yeah, so the reason that I like these, I've been buying slim ones. Let me grab this link. And I really like the slim cables because they are nicer when you're like running routes around like the little stands around here and stuff. But what I will say is that the slim cables means less shielding, which means they're not gonna work for longer distances. So most of the cables that I have are like 3 to 6 feet, and it's totally fine for those. Slim HDMI cable. So that's my preferred type of cable, just because they're a lot easier to manage and they don't get they're not cluttered, and they're like, they don't have a lot of they're really fat ones. When you plug them into cameras or the ATEM, they'll like cables will like pull on the device or the port even, and that's really bad. So you have to like strap them down to make sure there's no tension. But the slim ones don't have enough force to do that, so they're really nice for that. But if you want long cables, then you don't want to get the slim ones. And even then, the longest like regular HDMI cable that you could even expect to have a chance of working is going to be 15 to 20 feet. I think technically HDMI allows it to work. It allows it to go up to 30 feet, but you'll very quickly realize that just because theoretically the cable is supposed to work up to 30 feet doesn't mean it actually will, because it depends on the camera and like the signal the camera's putting out. So the other way to do long HDMI runs is with fiber optic cables. So this one was actually, this is the one that is running my monitor right now, and this is from a company called RUIPRO. They actually sent this to me a while ago, and I've been very happy with it. It's also a nice color, if you care about that. And they have a bunch of different lengths, so they can go all the way up to like 165 feet. And they're a lot more expensive than regular cables, but they're worth it, and they can actually do distances like this. So I'm using this one right now. It goes from the my computer's in that rack, so the cable goes to the wall and along the wall, and then wraps around under the desk here, and then up to this monitor that I'm looking at here. So do I have that camera? Oh, it's blocked by another camera. But this monitor is being fed from that fiber cable, because that was too long of a run for a regular cable, just because it's going down and around and stuff like that. So that's been working well. And yeah, I would say if you want to do long distances, definitely just go with fiber. It's a lot more reliable, because you're gonna realize that regular cables don't live up to the expectation of advertised lengths. Michael says, I love fiber. I've done runs with up to 300 feet. Ooh, wow. Okay, cool. Yeah. Not that more expensive. Oh, I guess I didn't look at the price for, I mean, it was an $80 30-foot cable. But I mean, once you get up to 100 feet, you can't get an HDMI cable anyway. So then your alternative to SDI, and that is about the same price, I think, as the cables. And then you also need the converters, which is, yeah, do fiber. It's great. Oh, one thing to pay attention to, MT is making a good point. HDMI can be bidirectional. Oh, what converter are you talking about? But anyway, if you're doing anything more than just like a camera, then you might need the return channel for audio or controls, like the CEC stuff. So double check that the fiber cable you're buying has support for that, because they don't always include that. So you should see a mention of like audio return or things like that. So yeah, here's this cable. It says ARC. So that means it does support the bidirectional. Frankie says SDI is cheaper to use than fiber HDMI. I think once you add the converters, assuming you don't have converters, I think it ends up being about the same, because you need to, if you have HDMI on both ends and then SDI in between, the SDI cables aren't $0, although it's been a long time since I bought one, like a long one. When did I last buy a long SDI cable? Probably not even on this Amazon account. I just got rid of a bunch of my SDI cables. Oh, here we go. Here's a 150 foot that I bought. Let's see if it's still for sale. Yeah, 150 foot cable is $150. So that's like, if we look at the fiber, 150 foot, $150. So then you also have to have the converter. Yeah. Do I have any recommendation for the best heavy-duty fiber cable for on the road instead of installed in the studio? No, I don't. I have really only tried these little these fiber HDMI cables for the studio. I haven't tried them out on the road. When I was doing stuff on the road, it didn't really exist at the time. So I was doing SDI for the most part, or Ethernet converters, or Cat5 cable with HDMI on both ends, which was always flakier. So I definitely preferred the SDI version of that. Yes, Michael got my collection of long SDI cables. So as I was decluttering, so glad will get some use again. Let's see. Oh, MT, I missed first part of your question. It came in two parts. Here we go. UVC to HDMI. Will the OBSBOT RGB link converter deliver a microphone signal from the camera through to HDMI and vice versa? I believe it does. I need to double check that. I don't even remember if I mentioned it in my in the video I did about it. Let's see if I mentioned it. I think I was focusing on the video for it, and I didn't mention audio in it. Yeah, I'll have to test that. That's a good question. Oh, speaking of, what's the best way to get 3 Insta360 links to be ISO into an ATEM Mini Extreme? Yeah, that little converter is going to be the best bet for you for sure. The converter that I'm talking about is, let me go find the video I did about it, and that's where the link is. This is finally. Oh, this is the UVC to HDMI converter. So it looks like this is this little box, and it has USB on one side, HDMI on the other, and it's basically like a little tiny computer that just boots up and outputs the video feed over the HDMI port. It works well. I will say, like, you'll always have a better experience using an HDMI camera. directly. But if you have to use a USB camera with an ATEM, this is a good option. Let me grab the actual link to the converter. That would be helpful too. Here we go. Did that work? Oh, there's like a missing space. There we go. And you could get 3 of those and run your 3 Insta360 cameras into the ATEM that way. Definitely would work if you really need the Insta360 camera. The other thing I will say is OBSBOT has the new PTZ auto tracking PTZ camera with HDMI port in it directly, and that one is, I think it's not officially released yet, but it's very soon coming out, and it is actually, I have one on the way to me right now. It's in the middle of being sent somewhere across the ocean, and I will hopefully get a chance to demonstrate that on the channel here. Here it is. It's called the OBSBOT Tail Air. OBSBOT Tail Air. And this is, where did it go? This is they demonstrated, they had it out at NAB, and why does this say NDI? I thought it was, am I thinking of a different one? They had one with an HDMI port. Now I'm trying to remember what it was called. All products. What the heck? They had one there with the HDMI port in it, and OBSBOT. I don't know. Well, I think it's this one, but now I'm not sure. Anyway, I'll let you know when it arrives. It should be here. Sometime. Where's my tracking number? It's on its way. No delivery date yet. Oh, it made it to Alaska yesterday. That's good. That's progress. Oh, should be this week. Cool. Well, maybe I'll try it out next week on the live stream. Yeah, there are so many OBSBOTs. They're really busy. Oh, hey, Alan tried it out for us. I started up my OBSBOT 4K with the UVC to HDMI converter, and I see audio in my ATEM. Thanks for trying it out. Fantastic. That's great, because mine is buried in a box somewhere, or possibly a drawer. I can't remember where mine went now. Oh, yes, MT, good question, good point. Ask Doug about fiber HDMI, heavy-duty fiber cables. Great point. I'll leave a link to his channel. He just hit 30K subscribers, so that's super cool. Here is Doug's channel. Doug's channel. Ask him about heavy duty fiber cables. There we go. Yeah, and congrats to Doug on hitting 30K. That is super exciting. Ultimately, upgrading all your cameras to SDI is more expensive than HDMI. That's true. That is a good point too. Jules says, what is your take on the OC Go stream in respect to the ATEM Mini? Oh, and I saw somebody else ask about that too. Where did it go? I don't know where the other one went. If you do have a question, by the way, it helps me see it if you start your message with the letter Q. So do prefix your message with Q. What is my take on the OC? Well, they did send it over, and I have not opened it up other than to take it out of the box because again, my table is full of other things at the moment, but the this is what it looks like. As soon as I get my table back in order, I'll be able to actually properly test this out. So it is very reminiscent of an ATEM Mini in terms of the ports and layout. My first reaction of this is that I think they basically took all the feedback that everybody had about the ATEM Mini and fixed everything. So, like there's macro buttons, there's record and playback buttons on here. There are 2 HDMI outs and 2 USB ports, so that's great. There's 2 microphones and headphones. Everything that people complained about the ATEM Mini, they were like, well, let's just make a better version of it. So I'm gonna plug this in once I get this table cleared off, which again looks like a disaster right now, and then I'll be able to actually try it out. Alonzo says, I strongly recommend roll-in cables, both HDMI and SDI. SDI are up to 60 meters, HDMI regular cables up to 7.5 meters. Affordable and well priced. Well, thanks for the tip. Does 4K HDMI cable affect HD output? No. So the 4K signal requires more capacity in the cable to send that signal. But if you're sending under that, then it's going to work the same as a HD rated cable. I guess maybe the one thing is that a 4K cable would probably have more shielding, so you might be able to get a longer distance than you could out of a similarly not 4K rated cable. But it's not really that much of doesn't really make much of a difference. Eric says, I like the lack of the overwhelming multitude of buttons as compared to the Blackmagic designs. I know there are a lot of buttons, but it seems like they actually are mostly useful. So we'll go through all this a bit later once I can actually turn it on. Okay, now I'm starting to get behind on the chat already. David says, did you answer my question about HDMI over Ethernet? Oh, no, I missed that. Sorry. Have I talked about HDMI over Ethernet? I briefly mentioned it, but so my experience with that was a while ago. It was like 2015, so things are definitely different. And what I found was that it was far less reliable than SDI cables of the same length. So I ended up just switching over to SDI entirely. I thought, oh, cool, Ethernet is easy. I can find cheap Ethernet cables, but it was not working well. That said, this is like 8 years later, so they may have gotten a lot better. And I'm actually going to try this out for the house for a video distribution. So I'm gonna go jump back into that world, I guess. The thing that I am looking at getting, I have not actually purchased it yet because I don't really have a way to use it until we're much farther along with the house, is this one. This is a 6x4 matrix with little Ethernet extenders. So the reason that I was thinking about this one is because I can stick the base unit in the server closet and then put all of the video sources like an Apple TV, a Amazon Fire TV, whatever, like a decoder that's decoding one of the security cameras. I could stick an ATEM Mini in front of it too if I wanted to get even more inputs. But I can take all the video sources, shove the hardware down in the server closet, and then take these 4 boxes to the TV locations and grab HDMI from that. And then it's a matrix, so each of the 4 outputs can be switched from any of the 6 inputs. So this is a that's what I'm gonna do for most of the TVs. I have basically 3 TVs in the house. There's the rooftop patio, there's the miscellaneous / karaoke room, and then there's the living room. And those are the 3 places that we're gonna have, media. So that's my plan. Probably this one. I like the price. It's a little bit spendy, but it's not outrageous. There are some other options that are like over twice that. But I'm hoping this one works. I've used this brand of stuff before, but I've never used this device before. So we'll see. I will report back. That's not enough ports. You'll end up having to get a bigger matrix. My thought is that this is not for studio stuff. So I don't even know if I can list 6 inputs of sources I would use for home TVs. And if I can list more than 6, at that point, I can just stick an ATEM Mini in front of it and get 3 more. So, yeah. Scott says the HD-based T standard has made video over Ethernet cabling a lot more reliable and consistent. That's good to know. Yeah, I don't think the ones that I was using before were HD-based T. That's interesting. Let me see if they were. I don't even know if I can find the product I was using before. Well, searching HD-based T in my email did not turn up anything, so I'm guessing the extenders were not that. That's my guess. Okay, let me scroll back up. I'm losing track of the chat. Oh, here's a question from Osprey Media. Thank you for joining. What's the best way to monitor stream audio out of an ATEM Mini Pro? I can monitor my audio going into either mic 1 or 2 or into a camera, no problem. I go through a Zoom recorder, but once that's the ATEM, therefore the stream for audio latency and quality monitoring is an unknown quantity. Common problem with the ATEMs, which is one of the things that the OC switcher fixed, which is a headphone jack on the device. The ATEM Mini Extreme does have a headphone jack, but if you're using just the ATEM Mini Pro, then there's no headphone jack. The easiest way to do this is to grab a monitor that has a headphone jack and plug that into one of the HDMIs. Some of the computer monitors don't have headphone jacks for whatever reason, but that's not the type of monitor I'm talking about. The type of monitor that I usually use, let's see if I can find the one that I have like 4 of them. What's it called? It's Feelworld. These little Feelworld 7-inch monitors it's a great size for the ATEM. Here we go. Feelworld 7-inch monitor. And yeah, bought one in 2020 last. So the nice thing about these is they have here we go, HDMI in and out, so you don't lose the HDMI port on your ATEM. So you can plug your ATEM into this, you can stick this on top of the ATEM. Happen to know of a great way to stack them, by the way. Stick the monitor on top of your ATEM on this PK1 cage. Strap your ATEM into the cage, and then put the monitor on top. That's the Blackmagic one, but you can just do it with the Feelworld. I think I have a photo in here somewhere of the Feelworld. And then, I guess not. Nope, these are, okay. Apparently my photo shoot was just the Blackmagic. Same idea. Feelworld, HDMI in. You can take the output of it and run it to whatever else you were going to do with that HDMI port. But then this has a headphone jack on that monitor. So the monitor, the Feelworld monitor has a headphone jack, monitor audio out of that. one thing I will note is that I think now I can't remember if it's this one in particular or a different monitor. Sometimes these monitors have built-in speakers, and if you don't have a headphone plugged in, they will blast audio into the room, which can be really bad if you are in the room and your microphone's in the room, because then you get a feedback loop. So I've actually kept some of the little like 1/8 inch adapters for like 1/8 inch to RCA or whatever. I stick those in the headphone jack just to make sure the monitor never makes a sound. I think I actually have one on. Yeah, you can't see it, but that little screen is it's an older model of the Feelworld, but same idea. Actually, this one's SDI, but same idea. It's and then over on the side there is a little headphone jack plug to make sure it never makes a sound in the room, because I had that problem a few times and it's not pleasant. But yeah, let me drop a link to that stand as well. David is reminding people to click the like button. Thank you, David. Thanks for the reminder. Scott says the first real HD-based T products didn't really start showing up until about 2018. Okay, that makes sense. Cool. Oh, your old ones were Cable Matters. They were in my garage. That's right. That's the brand I got. I remember that. Okay, there was another. Oh, when using the USB to HDMI adapter, how do you control the Insta360 link? So that is the problem with any of these things, is that like the Insta360 link, it'll have software that you can use on the computer to control it. But as soon as you plug it into like a YoloBox or this little converter, you don't get the ability to control it. There is minimal gesture control on the Insta360. I think it's like you can like hold up a hand and it'll turn on and off tracking. The OBSBOT one does that too, but that's really all you can do then at that point, which is why I'm excited for the OBSBOT HDMI camera, because that one actually is meant to be used not on a computer. There was a Final Vinny. Do you think we'll ever know what the stinger button does on the Extreme? At this point, I don't know if we're ever going to get an update for that. They haven't updated the firmware on the Extremes in a very long time. Have you tried to duplicate the HDMI program out of an ATEM Mini or Extreme? Yeah. Is there a follow-up to that? No. Most splitters will work fine. Sometimes the HDMI splitter is just crap and it won't work well. So if it doesn't work, oh gosh, something fell. If it doesn't work, just try a different one. The good news is the little HDMI splitters are not expensive, so it doesn't really, not the end of the world if you need to buy one, or you can just buy one and return it if it doesn't work. But yeah, it should be no problem taking the signal out of a splitter. Generally, if the splitter has a power supply, it'll probably work better just because it doesn't eat as much power from the HDMI port. The OBSBOT has a remote control, and the UVC adapter has a USB port for the dongle. There's no dongle for the Insta360 though. But yeah, the oh right, this is the OBSBOT HDMI camera, so it does have a remote control, and the remote control. Now I'm trying. They showed this all at NAB, and I've forgotten now the details. But yeah, I think you're right. There's a dongle for the remote that you can plug into the UVC adapter. Anyway, hopefully that'll all show up soon, and I can show that off on a stream. No color adjustments with the remote. Yeah, with the OBSBOT camera and converter, you can use the optional remote for basic control of framing and presets. Yeah, I mean, these are not full PTZ cameras. They are very affordable auto tracking cameras. If you want full PTZ, then you're going to have to spend full PTZ camera money, and you can get whatever you want then, with great control options. But these are much more affordable. Did I see the Bluetooth option using the USB-A port with the remote? I've seen they sell a bundle with remote. I did not see that. No. I got some homework to do once this thing shows up. Was there a... Okay. Oh, does the YoloBox in-stream still not live stream to YouTube Live? No, the YoloBox in-stream is basically a Android device that has a built-in capture card. So don't think of it like a YoloBox and don't think of it like an ATEM. Think of it like a Android phone that has multiple HDMI inputs. Whereas I think there's only one Android phone that has one HDMI input. So if you think about it like a phone, then you need to run an app in order to do things. So you can launch the Instagram app and you can launch the TikTok app one at a time, but you can't launch both apps on a phone. And that app, it is the Instagram app. So like it just sees a webcam or internal camera. That internal camera happens to be their little internal video switcher that's taking multiple HDMI ins and doing graphics and stuff. So there's no option to live stream to YouTube because they don't have the YouTube app installed, which is how you would do it. And there's no generic option to stream RTMP because they don't have their own app installed that would let you stream to RTMP. Because again, it's not like an ATEM at all, or even like the YoloBox. If you look at the regular YoloBox, it is also an Android device, but instead of having it be able to like choose which app you're using, you're always using the YoloBox app. So it effectively like boots up into the YoloBox app, and then you can't exit the app. And that is their custom software that they've written, which is where you can like go and add destinations and stuff like that. So that's the deal with that. Oh gosh, it's almost been an hour. I wanted to share a little bit of a little update on a project for Lily's channel. So as you know, we just moved, and I'm going to drop a link to her channel, but we just moved, and her live streams have been, she was doing weekly live streams as well, and we've been going through quite the evolution of her gear and kit as well. So this was the last one we did at the house, and you can see the backgrounds, everything's getting removed from the background because we moved at that point. That's what it normally looks like. Actually, that was a little bit trimmed down too. There used to be a shelf in the back. Anyway, after we moved out, then her next stream was in the new place, and I had like 2 days to set up the kit again. So do I have a picture of what her desk looks like as a whole? I don't have a before of the desk. I have to show the after, and then I'll come back to this. This one. So this is the new place, and you can see there's her same desktop tabletop, and then that back in the back there's that IKEA shelf, and the IKEA shelf is where I had put all of the streaming gear. So my first plan was to very neatly tuck in all of the kit into one of the Calyx boxes. And this is before I put before I had the network switch in there. But you can see that the ATEM Mini Extreme fits the sideways way almost perfectly. And when we have that acrylic cover over it so that I can stack things on top of it, I was very proud of how much I was able to pack into that tiny space and how organized it was. And it worked fine for the first stream of when we were there. And then I went to London, and I was in London, which means her live stream is at like 5, so it was like 2 a.m. or something. So I was not awake for it. And when I was gone, apparently everything just fell apart. One of the things was absolutely my fault, which is I had changed the Wi-Fi right before I left. So the Chromecast I hadn't reconnected the Chromecast to the new Wi-Fi, so that just wasn't working. Most of the stuff is hardwired, but like the Chromecast is Wi-Fi, and something about Companion, like something broke on it, so her buttons weren't working. So she had to like pull stuff out in order to push the buttons on the ATEM, and it was apparently a complete disaster. And then I was like, okay, we're gonna redo this. So this was me pulling it all apart and having to untangle the mass of wires that I had created. And the new plan is I got this little tiny AV cart and put everything there. So the ATEM's on the top, and it fits. I found a cart that was exactly the right dimensions. So the ATEM fits exactly in the top, and then the bottom is for all the accessories. So there's the network switch, there's the HyperDeck, the Apple TV, the audio interface. There's also a little SDI encoder so that we have remote multi-view. There's a Chromecast in there. The Chromecast needs to get rebooted all the time anyway, so now it's easily accessible. And on the bottom is just power. So it's battery on the bottom, and all the power adapters are down there. So this is much, much more reasonable. Oh, and I think on the back of the ATEM, oh yeah, so there's the power. I have a sticker, unplug this to reboot the Chromecast, because that thing needs to get rebooted all the time. So a couple power bricks. It's not too bad. It's not too cluttered down there. And here's the middle shelf. So yeah, we've got the HDMI encoder, the splitter for the Chromecast. This actually, originally in the old place, I was actually using this as a proper splitter to send one copy of the Chromecast to the ATEM and another copy into her monitor. Now I'm just using it to get rid of the HDCP to be able to use it with the ATEM, because I didn't want to. There wasn't enough room for enough screens up there. HyperDeck, Apple TV is down below, network switch. Weird thing I noticed after I'd done all this is this is the Gen 1 Unify switch, 8-port, and the ATEM doesn't work with that switch. I don't understand why. Like, it just doesn't get a link. It just does not light up. Everything else worked fine, but the ATEM didn't work, so I had to swap it out for a different switch. There's the ATEM on the top. Oh yeah, there's the back of the ATEM. So I shoved the Raspberry Pi for Companion up there, and that ended up working pretty well. There is actually a top level to that rack, which I didn't show in the first picture. It was a 4-tier rack. It looks cuter, it just has the 3 tiers, but I put the 4th one on because that is where the Stream Deck lives between live streams. So Stream Deck lives up there, remote control for the Apple TV all goes on the top. I am very, very pleased with this little cable sleeve also. I made sure to have enough slack in all of the wires to, they all get bundled up and are attached to the same corner of this rack. And that way everything is like all the stress points are, on that leg. And then I put everything into this little cable sleeve with enough slack so that you can actually move the cart out. She doesn't normally need to touch the devices directly because everything's done through Companion. But in case of emergencies, she may need to swing that around and push buttons on the top of the ATEM if Companion ever goes down. So this is now what it looks like. Oops, that was weird. So that was the select object in Apple thing. Okay, weird. So it lives on the side there. It's just slightly taller than the desk, but it's the same height as that top tier. So a little shelf to put things in. And then it's normally behind her when she's doing the stream. So the camera is over here. And this one screen is the same screen she was using before. And I mentioned before, that screen used to be just a copy of the Chromecast. Now it's actually the output of the ATEM. And I gave her buttons on the Stream Deck to switch that between multi-view, which she does have to, she keeps an eye on the multi-view so she knows what's on air and whether like the things are working. but she can also change that to be the chat if she wants. So if she wants to look at the chat, which you'll notice it's like right below the camera, instead of she'll like swing a table around and have a computer, but then she's like looking down at the computer, so it's nicer to read the chat when it's like right by the camera. So that's been working. We did just one on that setup now, so hopefully it works again next week. Let me take a look at the chat. You have an OMD acrylic protector for her ATEM. Oh yeah, that is from Inix 3D. That is, I should have a link to that. That is a new, oh, there it is. They made these, for a few different products. So they have one for, they have just clear, not branded, but they also do printing on them. So you can print your own for the ATEM Mini or the Extreme. And yeah, that is the link to buy them if you are curious. It's a nice way to have like a dust cover that's also branded. Kind of fun. Yes, cable management for the win. Okay, let me go find links because everyone is asking for the links to the cards. I'm very, very happy with the way it turned out, and it's much more sustainable now. So here we go. It wasn't even a very expensive cart. I did spend quite a while searching for this to find one that fits the ATEM Mini Extreme exactly. So tiny AV cart for ATEM Mini Extreme. There is the link for you. It's like $30, same day shipping. And you can see I bought it like 4 days ago. Under $30. And yeah, if you don't want the fourth tier, you can just not assemble the fourth one. They might sell a 3-tier version too, but I don't even think it's that much cheaper, so whatever. Yeah, I spent a long time reading these diagrams to find 15.2 inches and got lucky. I like it. I'm very happy with it. Let me see if I can find the cable sleeves too. The cable sleeves are sold in a 6-pack, apparently. They are 20 inches long, so I had 2 of them together to get that length. And they come in a few different colors. So I actually have some of them in the studio here. I use the white ones, of course, here. And then the black ones are, I think they're under this desk. No, I'm not sure where the black ones are. But then I had the gray ones left over, so I used them for her. Because they're just on the floor anyway. You don't see them. $93 Canadian. What? Darn. Oh, well, sorry. Scott says you may need to set the port on that Unify switch to 100. It may not negotiate properly. ATEM Mini Extreme is gigabit, though. Pretty sure. But yeah, I didn't try manual settings, so something about it was failing. I just used a different switch anyway, whatever. It's fine. Well, that was fun. Def News. Your live stream is running very smooth and sharp. With which software are you live now? I don't know what that little emoji is supposed to be. It's not showing up on my computer either. Is it showing up on the YouTube window? No. Weird. Don't know what that is. Anyway, I do not use software. I use hardware, which is not a surprise to the regular viewers of the stream that I am not a big fan of software streaming. But yeah, the stream is being encoded through a web presenter, which is a little rack mount device that's sitting in the rack there that does the encoding, pushing out to YouTube. in the past I used a ATEM Mini. They seem to be the same encoder, so more or less the same behavior and quality. The everything else is it's just all the cameras and stuff running into the ATEM. Now I'm using the BGH1 cameras. I was previously using the Lumix G7 cameras, and I still think those are a good option, and they're pretty affordable. And the reason I switched to the BGH1 is because I wanted SDI, because I had just too many converters. So these are all SDI, and they're all network controlled. So, but the Lumix G7 cameras are great. And then, of course, lighting makes it look crisp, too. Because if I turn off the lights, I will not look very sharp anymore. Yes. Cinematic Look says, InStream on the new version does TikTok and Instagram at the same time. I haven't updated mine. I will have to check that out. Interesting. Oh, good question. How to connect with the YOLO team. The web overlays doesn't work well. Can't set them to 1920, 1080. That is one of my annoyances with the YoloBox 2. I really want the web page to be 1920 by 1080. It is weirdly some small size. Probably the best way to get in touch with them is on their Facebook groups. So they have a Facebook group that is for people post all sorts of stuff about YoloBoxes in there, and they do monitor it. So that is a good way to say, like, I'm having this problem with the web overlay. I can't get it to this resolution. And you'll get people who are like, me too. And then they will probably actually see it. So the more people that complain about that, the better, because they do fix things and they do ship updates quite often. Which is better, the OBSBOT Tiny 4K or the Insta360 Link? I don't know yet. I haven't actually used the 4K, Tiny 4K. The nice thing about the Insta360 Link is that it's teeny. It's super tiny. I'm pretty sure the OBSBOT is bigger. I don't have a good answer, though, in terms of like functionality. Have I considered doing a retrospective video to highlight the evolution of your studio over the 3 years of the stream? It has been an incredible evolution. That is a great point. It's been a while since I've done an update on the studio. The last time I did one was, I think it was when was it? It was like, it was this one. September 2021. Oh, wow. So it's been 2 years since I've done a video about this. This was with the Lumix G7s at this point, because I didn't have the BGH1s. Man, my background's gotten a lot more cluttered since then. There's all sorts of crap here now. Also, I don't understand where is all the light on that wall coming from? I don't remember now. Interesting. Yeah, it's been a lot of changes since 2 years ago now that it's, yeah, almost exactly 2 years ago since I made this video. And it'd be fun to go through everything. There's a lot of differences. Definitely had a lot less stuff in there before. That was, I think I was using the Blackmagic camera, which I have since sold because I switched over to all the same cameras. Got different microphones now. Oh, and now this whole part of the wall has my office shelving in it. So, yeah, okay, I like it. It's probably a good time to do another full tour. I could do, yeah, I think there's two good videos. New just overview. I need to get things cleaned up first. But then, yeah, I agree that going through the different sets over time, starting with the original ATEM Mini at the apartment. Yep, things have changed quite a lot. Soon it'll be Red Blazer time, only 3 months away. Yeah, I'm gonna break out the sparkly jacket for New Year's again, of course. Of course. Apparently the new in-stream update is supposed to let you install a bunch of Android APKs. Interesting. That is a good to know. That does open up a lot of possibilities. What are your thoughts on NDI, especially Bird Dog wireless NDI cameras, which is yet to see the light, announced long back and still not available? I generally prefer hardwired video feeds when possible, but there are definitely lots of good uses of NDI. You just have to be very thoughtful about your network configuration. So gigabit or 10 gigabit switches everywhere. Make sure you're not don't have too many cameras going over the same, like if you have a couple different switches connected and then you only have 1 gigabit between them and you're trying to push all the video feeds, it's gonna fall apart quick. So you have to be very thoughtful about your network wiring. But there are definitely advantages of NDI just because it's a lot more flexible and easier to kind of change things up. Whereas with real cables, you have to either get a matrix or rewire things all the time. So wireless NDI is getting better. It used to be not really practical, but Wi-Fi is getting better and the compressed NDI feeds are getting better now. So definitely is usable. I've sometimes done that for my phone with the NDI app on the phone, and it is pretty good. And I think personally, I would, I'm not going to ever run a live stream entirely with NDI gear, but I would strongly consider using NDI for specific things, especially wireless, frankly, because now the wireless part of NDI, it is good enough to use, assuming you can control your Wi-Fi environment. And I think I did a video a little bit ago about a couple different options for wireless cameras in an ATEM, like a studio hardware-based streaming setup. And NDI is high up on that list. So, yeah. How am I doing picture-in-picture? Is it using the ATEM? Yeah, so I have a big ATEM in there. It's a Constellation 40 input ATEM, but that is what's doing the layout like this, or if I have the iPad stream set up, that's the iPad over Apple TV. And the layouts are all done with the ATEM Constellation, which has the feature called Super Source, which is also in the ATEM Mini Extreme, which is good. ATEM Mini Pro does not have Super Source, which I'm bummed about. But Super Source is what lets you do like the two different screens, two different video sources scaled down and cropped, and moving around on top of a background. So it's a great feature. Everyone wants to know about the OC. Okay, so as soon as I get this place cleaned up, I'm going to actually connect this. I have it here. They sent it over so I could share it with you on the channel. I got to look at it at NAB, but they sent this over. I am going to do a proper video about it and demonstrate it on a live stream. So I just literally can't right now because this place is a disaster. I need that to be clean, and then I will be able to put it on the table, connect my little wires over into it, and try it out. Soon. Rest of today, and I have tomorrow off as well. So for the next 2 days, all I'm doing is just cleaning up this room. That is now my focus. Yesterday, I got a little bit distracted. I was playing around with home automation tools most of the day. So it was a lot of fun. I may have to start a new live stream on the House Files channel because I just want to talk about home automation all the time. So I might do that. Maybe I should start like a Saturday morning stream also. And Saturday morning live stream just for home automation on the House Files. Let me know if that would be fun for people. House Files channel is where I'm talking about the whole process of whole process of building out the triplex, and we have a video that's about to come out, which is about the move into the studio, where we just redid this bathroom, and then we get back to construction updates. So we're getting now to the point where I need to have like a solid or an exact idea for the like home automation systems that are going in, so we can run all of the wires to get everything hardwired in as much as possible. So I have, for example, I have this door intercom system, which is so nice. It is, the cable's not quite long enough to show, but I'm in the middle of setting this up to, here you can see that's the video from the indoor unit, and I can just push the unlock button and it unlocks the door. I'm supposed to be able to call other indoor units. It's all using SIP, and I'm having trouble getting that working, but hopefully I get that set up soon. So this will go on the wall at the house. I actually have one now mounted in the studio as well. So when somebody rings the door, which is up the stairs and around there and back there, I'll be able to answer the call from in here and tell them like, oh, just leave the box at the front door, thanks, or whatever, right? So anyway, there's so much more I can go into about home automation. So I think I'm gonna have to do that on the other channel, because this channel, I should probably not turn this channel into a home automation channel. But hey, we do have lots of home automation fans, so great. I have a lot of thoughts. Like we're gonna say no, yeah. Oh, Anne-Marie says, I just got my ATEM Mini Extreme ISO, and there's no power button. That is true. Ooh, did they add one on this? Interesting, they did not add a power button on this. Oh, there is a power switch on the top. No, ATEM Mini Extreme does not have power buttons. Blackmagic does not believe in powering down gear. I will say I have, for the ATEM Mini Extreme and Pro, I have not had any trouble just leaving them on all the time. Like this one that's up there, which is doing the behind the scenes stream right now. That one has been powered on now for, whatever weeks since I last rebooted the rack. I've had it turned on for years. Also, the one that we use for Lily's set upstairs, that's just been turned on since we moved in, which has been 3 weeks now. But before that, it was at her home studio, which had been turned on for over a year. Not a big deal to leave it on all the time. If you really do want to turn it off, then one option is to get a smart switch or a smart outlet. And I actually kind of like that option, because it means you can remotely reboot if you need to. Sometimes I've had the ATEM get stuck, like it'll crash, and then you do need to reboot it. So being able to switch them on and off remotely is nice. The other option is there is a somebody made a little cable that you connect the power supply to, and then I don't think I have it here. You connect the power supply into the cable, and then it goes into the ATEM. It has a little screw threading lock things as well, and that has a switch on it. I don't. Let me see if I have the link. I don't know if I have the link. I think it may have just been on eBay or something. Yeah, I don't know if I have. Anyway, either of those are good options. If you already have like a smart home system for power outlets or lights or something, just like do that. But if you don't, maybe it's not the best way to start using that. SIP sucks. I've spent so much time debugging. Yeah, I have not. So We stream a lot of events from India, sports conferences. Would love to share some of our workflows, but it's possible to connect one-on-one. Yeah, so the two options. We have a members only Discord channel, which if you're a channel member, thank you so much for all the support. Members get access to behind the scenes live stream, which is currently streaming this view. And that is also, I start that stream 10, 15 minutes before the main stream as I'm getting set up and I'm showing what I'm doing to get set up. And the Discord is a great way to chat asynchronously throughout the week. I've been posting updates there as I've been cleaning things out in the studio. Sometimes I post like stuff I'm going to get rid of either for cheap or free, which is how some of my gear have ended up in all of your houses. And the other thing is I do have some limited times available for consulting. So if you actually want to like get some help one-on-one, I have some times available. If you can't find a time with me, I have a couple links to other people who are good options to chat with as well. So just get a power strip with a switch on it. Yes, that's another good option. Very low tech, but it works. Eli says, I make those types of adapters, just plug in between power supply and the device. Do you have a link to it? Chris says, I posted the switch link. You need to allow it. Oh, is it stuck in the moderation queue? Weird. I don't see it in the chat. Chris, can you try it again? You're not a channel member, so you don't have the Discord. I don't know why you can't post a link. I thought it usually just like pops up in my YouTube thing that's like you need to. Oh. Toggle moderation activity. Now I should see it. Okay, interesting. Anyway, we'll try to get that link. ATEMs are small space heaters, even if they do nothing. It's true. They're always doing something because they're always converting and scaling video. They are good little space heaters. Does your consulting include OAuth stuff as long as it's video related? API stuff to YouTube? Sure. Yeah, happy to help with that. Graham says, I just noticed the lag in your multi-view on the TV screen. Doesn't that make it unusable? I mean, it's decorative. Yes. It is extremely laggy. It's like half a second. No, almost a full second. Almost a full second. And I think most of that is actually coming from the TV itself, because it's a smart TV. Why doesn't it just have a way to pass through the video with no lag? It's weird. Very annoying. Like if you look at the little tiny monitor here, that's coming out of the ATEM, and there's a tiny bit of delay there, right? Because like the camera has a little bit of delay. And if I look at myself compared to my multi-view, or if you look at that, is this gonna work? Kind of, yeah. There's a huge difference between the delay on the little screen and the TV. And yes, it is probably not actually usable as a multi-view if I were to be recording a video, but it's usable for this purpose of just looking fun, and probably low enough delay for like framing shots. I do actually like having a really big screen if I'm doing if I'm filming stuff in here on the table. Having to look at the tiny screen on the camera is not great, so I like being able to throw a picture up onto a big screen to check focus and framing and all that. So I probably will actually use it for that as I get back to filming some videos. Rodney said, any videos on using the Blackmagic switcher with vmix or eCam? I if you search my channel for Ecamm, you'll find a little bit, but I don't have a ton, and I definitely don't have any vmix content. But you know who does have a lot of vmix content is TechCondo. So let me drop lots of good vmix content. There we go. Is there a way to turn on a Mac Mini without having to reach around to the back? On our trailer, it's on a rack mount, and I have to go around the back to turn them on. You know, I have that same problem because I've been shutting this rack down when I go away for the week, and when I come back and I power back up, the Mac does not turn itself back on. I thought there was a setting for that on the Mac of like what to do in case of power failure. Oh, there is, but it's not a power failure because I shut down the Mac properly. Yeah. Yeah, there is a setting which is called start up automatically after a power failure. But if I shut it down properly, it does not count as a power failure. So when power comes back on, then it doesn't boot up. So if I just kill the rack and let the computer think it's a power outage, it'll turn back on. So you could do that, I guess. TechCondo will be at the vmix booth at IBC. Ah, right. God, that's right. That's coming up so soon. I will also be at IBC, so maybe I will see you there. I found it by searching eBay for ATEM Mini power switch. Okay, cool. Let me do that. That way I can at least find the link. ATEM Mini power switch. That's the one. From Canada. Didn't realize that. How do I... Let me make this an actual link so that it shows up in my product search. Here we go. ATEM Mini power switch. Regarding Mac Mini, power on via network magic packet. Is that an option? I haven't set that up on mine. It has a wake for network access option, but I don't think that's the same thing. I posted a link to a mount that has a power switch for the Mac Mini. Okay, I need to change my... The links are not coming through, so I need to change my moderation settings, apparently. So I need to find that. Probably too late now, but I will fix that for next time. Yeah. I don't think I can change it midstream. Cool. Which keyboard am I using? Is it Apple Bluetooth keyboard? It is. This is the Apple, the new one, which has the fingerprint reader on it, which is amazing. So I can use Touch ID on the Mac wirelessly. And I'm not a big fan of these trackpads, but I like it better than the mouse. So yeah, but this keyboard's great. I like it a lot. Battery lasts a decent amount of time. I like that it's so slim. After a lot of testing and playing around with a lot of stuff to use web overlays, we decided to build something in-house, which works great. Do you think releasing it for public has a future? Possibly. I will say there's a lot of web-based graphics tools, so there's a lot of competition. So it really depends on what your goals are with it. If it is doing something that's like particularly different than a lot of the other ones, then yeah. But like just off the top of my head, so H2R Graphics is a great option. It's a Mac app, but it is all web-based, so you can style. You can custom style it with CSS and stuff like that. There's also overlays. There's a free one, overlays.uno. They keep asking me to review this one, and I haven't really yet. It's free by Singular Live. I think it's like trying to be like a lead gen tool for Singular Live, which is their paid one. YoloLive has one. YoloLive has what is it called? YoloLive overlays. No, YoloLive. Yeah. YoloLive Overlay Lab. Also free, and like you don't have to have a YoloBox to use it. It's just a web-based graphics tool. So they have a bunch of presets and things like that. So it's a crowded market. So just keep that in mind. The Magic Trackpad is wildly oversized. I kind of agree. I honestly wish I could just get the laptop trackpad, which is like that big instead of that big. That would be a good size. But oh well. Stop and Think says I have my lights, cameras, speakers, and ATEM individually connected through an ADJ PC100A rack-mounted multi-strip. Oh, cool. The one I'm using is different brand, but I like mine. It's down there somewhere. Since we do a lot of sports and need dynamic mobile controlled overlays for scoring and all, so we had to. I haven't looked much at the sports options, but definitely could be like if it's a specialty thing, that probably has more of a chance of getting more use, because there's a lot of just sort of like generic stuff out now that covers like 80% use cases. But as soon as you get into the specialty stuff of like, we need a scoreboard that works for this particular style of this game, then you'll find in the like comment sections of videos that talk about the Singular Live or YoloBox overlays, you'll find people being like, hey, the scoreboard is almost what we need, but we need it to also do this thing. And then like that's an opportunity, I think. I've grown to prefer the huge trackpad most of the time and can barely use a mouse anymore. My hand just gets cramped when I use a mouse because I feel like I'm just doing this and just. We use Tyler Live for sports and it's great. Then add a scoreboard and you can take the info right from the scoreboard in the stadium. That's cool. That's super cool. Yeah. I have not used Tyler Live, so I don't know anything about it. All right. Oh my gosh, it's already 90 minutes have just flown by. So that was fun. Let's wrap this up and come back next week. And hopefully things will be a little bit more cleaned up in here by then. So with that, thank you to all the channel members for your continued support. It really does mean a lot, and I appreciate it. And again, become a member and you get a bunch of members only perks. So the Discord has been a lot of fun. So yeah, good way to keep in touch throughout the week. Next week, I should be back here, but the week after that is going to be the IBC week. So I may or may not have a live stream during IBC. We'll see. It'll be evening then. Don't know, but in any case, I'm back here next week, and hopefully I'll get things cleaned up, and then maybe I should make it a priority to actually connect this OC switcher and try it out on the stream next week. Comment below or in the chat while we're still live if you think that's what you want to see next week. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, says Eric. Thank you for the reminder. All right. I will see you all again next time. See you next week.